Jiho stood in front of the large metal container and took a deep breath. His hands were shaking. Inside the container was something that could change everything. It could also destroy his life and his family. The station was cold today. Nova Prime. Always felt cold to Jiho, even after 2 years of living here. It was not like Earth. Nothing was like Earth anymore. Not since humans joined the big family of alien species 70 years ago. Jiho was 17 years old. He had black hair and quiet eyes. Most students at Zenith Academy did not notice him much. He liked it that way. Being invisible made things easier, especially when you were hiding the biggest secret in the galaxy. The container sat in his small room. It had special labels on it that said it was full of old Earth things for a school project. That was not exactly a lie. What was inside was definitely from Earth, and it was definitely for a project. But calling it old things did not tell the whole truth. Someone knocked on his door. Jiho jumped. His heart beat fast. Jiho? It's me. The voice was familiar. It was Hyeri. Jiho opened the door. Hyeri walked in quickly. She had been his friend since they were children on Earth. She was the only person who knew his secret. She had bright eyes and always smiled, even when things were scary. Are you really going to do this? Hyeri asked. She looked at the container. Tomorrow? In front of everyone? Jiho nodded. He could not speak. His throat felt tight. What if they kill her? Hyeri asked. Her smile was gone now. They already think she's dead, Jiho said. His voice was quiet. The whole galaxy thinks wolves are extinct, gone forever. But they're wrong. Inside the container was Kira. She was a wolf. A real, living wolf. Gray fur, sharp teeth, amber eyes that could see into your soul. She was 3 years old and completely illegal. The Galactic Federation had a law. It was called the Predator Elimination Act. The law said that all big hunting animals had to be destroyed. Lions, tigers, sharks, bears, and wolves. All gone. The aliens said these animals were too dangerous. They said civilized worlds did not need predators. Earth had agreed. Humans wanted to join the Federation so badly. They wanted to travel to the stars. They wanted alien technology and alien friends. So they said yes. They killed most of their predators. But some humans could not do it. Jiho's family was part of a secret group. They hid animals in forests and mountains. They used special technology to hide from Federation scanners. For 70 years, they kept these animals alive in secret. Kira was special. She was born in one of these secret places. Jiho had raised her since she was a puppy. He fed her. He played with her. He taught her commands and tricks. She trusted him completely. Your teacher will call security, Hyeri said. Instructor Velthar will have no choice. Maybe, Jiho said. Or maybe she'll listen. She teaches galactic ecology. She studies extinct species. Maybe she'll want to learn. Hyeri looked worried, but she put her hand on Jiho's shoulder. Then I'll be there with you, whatever happens. That night Jiho could not sleep. He lay in his bed and thought about tomorrow. His presentation was scheduled for the afternoon. The whole class would be there. 25 students from 12 different species. All of them thought predators were monsters from primitive times. There was one student Jiho worried about most. His name was Minho. He was human like Jiho, but he was different. Minho loved being part of the Federation. He wore alien clothes. He spoke 3 alien languages. He often said that old Earth was backwards and stupid. Minho had noticed Jiho going to the storage area many times. He had asked questions. Jiho had lied and said he was working on his project alone. But Minho did not believe him. Jiho could tell. At midnight, Jiho got up. He went to the container and opened a small panel. Inside, Kira was sleeping. The container had air and water. It had soft padding, but it was still a cage. Kira did not like cages. Tomorrow, girl, Jiho whispered. Tomorrow everyone will see you. Tomorrow we tell the truth. Kira opened one eye. She looked at Jiho. Her tail moved slightly. She trusted him. That made Jiho feel even more scared. What if he was wrong? What if this was a terrible mistake? The next morning came too fast. Jiho put on his school uniform. He made sure the container was sealed properly. He used an anti-gravity cart to move it through the halls of Zenith Academy. Other students stared at him. The container was big and strange, but no one asked questions. Everyone was always doing weird projects at this school. The classroom was large and round. It had windows that showed the stars outside. Instructor Velthar was already there. She was from a species called Keltharians. She had 6 arms and scales that changed colors. Right now they were blue, which meant she was calm and ready to teach. "Good afternoon, class," Velthar said. Her voice sounded like music and rocks at the same time. "Today we continue our presentations on extinct species. Who would like to go first?" Jiho raised his hand. His whole arm felt heavy. "Ah, Jiho," Velthar said. Her scales turned slightly green, which meant interest. "You have been very quiet about your project. Please come forward." Jiho pushed the container to the front of the room. He could feel everyone watching him. Yeri gave him a small nod from her seat. Minho was staring with his arms crossed. "My project is about wolves," Jiho said. His voice shook a little. "They were declared extinct 70 years ago. The Federation said they were too dangerous to exist." Some students nodded. Everyone knew about the Predator Elimination Act. It was taught in history class. But the Federation was wrong, Jiho continued. Wolves were not monsters. They were intelligent. They were social. They lived in families. They could be friends with humans. In fact, wolves and humans worked together for thousands of years. "That is all very interesting history," Velthar said. "But what is in your container? Do you have bones? Ancient artifacts?" "No," Jiho said. He put his hand on the container's release button. "I have proof that the Federation made a mistake. I have proof that we destroyed something beautiful for no good reason." Velthar's scales started turning orange. That meant confusion or concern. "Jiho, what are you talking about?" Jiho pressed the button. The container opened with a soft hiss. For a moment, nothing happened. Everyone leaned forward to see. Then Kira walked out. She was beautiful. Her gray fur was thick and healthy. Her eyes were bright and alert. She stood next to Jiho and looked at the class with calm curiosity. For 3 seconds, the room was completely silent. Then someone screamed. Alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed. Students jumped out of their seats. Some ran for the door. Others pressed themselves against the walls. Velthar's scales turned bright red. That meant danger and fear. All 6 of her arms spread wide. "Security!" someone shouted. "It's a predator! A real predator!" Kira did not move. She sat down calmly next to Jiho, just like he had trained her to do. Her tail wagged once. She did not understand why everyone was so upset. Jiho looked at his teacher. He looked at his classmates. He looked at Kira. "She's not dangerous," Jiho said loudly over the alarms. "She's not a monster. She's just a wolf, and wolves were never extinct." The classroom door burst open. Station security guards rushed in, weapons ready. They surrounded Jiho and Kira. One guard, a huge creature that looked like a giant crab, pointed his weapon at Kira. "Step away from the predator." "No," Jiho said. He stood in front of Kira. His voice was stronger now. "If you want to hurt her, you'll have to go through me." Hieri ran forward and stood next to Jiho. "And me," she said. Everyone stared. The alarms kept screaming. Kira sat quietly, looking up at Jiho with complete trust. Velthar slowly walked closer. Her scales were still red, but they were changing, turning purple. That meant she was thinking hard. She looked at Kira for a long time. Then she raised one of her 6 arms. "Wait," Velthar said to the security guards. "Everyone wait. Let me see this creature." The head guard, whose name was Raxtel, did not lower his weapon. "Instructor, that is an illegal predator. We must eliminate it immediately." "I said wait," Velthar repeated. Her voice was firm now. "I am a scientist. This student has brought something impossible into my classroom Before we destroy it, I want to understand it. Give me 5 minutes. Raxtel hesitated. Then he nodded. But his weapon stayed pointed at Kira. Velthar approached slowly. Kira watched her, but did not move. Jiho put his hand gently on Kira's head. How long have you had this animal? Velthar asked quietly. Since she was born, Jiho answered. 3 years. I raised her myself. And she has never attacked anyone? Never. She's gentle, she's smart, she understands commands, she trusts humans. Velthar's scales slowly turned blue again. She was calm now. She was thinking like a scientist instead of feeling like a scared person. This changes everything, she whispered. Then louder voices came from the hallway. More security was coming. And someone else. Someone important. Jiho heard a voice he recognized. It was Ambassador Lee, Earth's representative on the station. The ambassador walked into the room. He was an older human with gray hair and tired eyes. When he saw Kira, his face went pale. Oh no, he said. Oh no, no, no. Jiho, what have you done? Jiho looked at the ambassador. He looked at the guards. He looked at his classmates who were slowly coming out of their panic. I told the truth, Jiho said simply. That's all, I just told the truth. They took Jiho to a small gray room with no windows. It had 1 table and 2 chairs. Everything was cold metal. He sat alone for 3 hours before anyone came to talk to him. Jiho kept thinking about Kira. Where did they take her? Was she scared? Did they hurt her? The questions made his stomach feel sick. Finally, the door opened. Security Chief Raxtel walked in. He was even bigger up close. His shell was dark blue and covered in scars. His claws clicked on the floor. Behind him came Ambassador Lee. The ambassador looked angry and tired. He sat down across from Jiho. Raxtel stood by the door like a statue. Do you understand what you've done? Ambassador Lee asked. His voice was quiet but hard. Do you have any idea? I showed everyone the truth, Jiho said. You broke the law. The ambassador hit the table with his hand. The Predator Elimination Act is not a suggestion. It's the law. Your family has been breaking it for 70 years. Do you know what happens now? Earth could lose its Federation membership. We could lose everything we've worked for. We lost something important 70 years ago, Jiho said. He felt braver now than he did in the classroom. We lost part of what makes us human. We destroyed animals that did nothing wrong. We killed them because aliens were afraid. Those aliens give us technology, Ambassador Lee said. They give us medicine. They give us access to 1,000 worlds. We made a choice. We chose the future over the past. Did we choose? Jiho asked. Or did we just do what we were told? The ambassador had no answer for that. Raxtel spoke for the first time. His voice was deep and rough. The wolf is in containment. Scientists want to study it. Some want to kill it immediately. They're arguing right now. Her name is Kira, Jiho said, and she's not an it. She's a living being. She's illegal, Raxtel said. By law, she should not exist. Then maybe the law is wrong. Raxtel tilted his massive head. He looked at Jiho with eyes that were hard to read. Maybe, he said quietly. That surprised everyone. Even Ambassador Lee turned to stare at the security chief. The next morning, Jiho was moved to a different room. This one had a bed and a window that showed the stars. He was not in a jail cell, but he could not leave. Guards stood outside his door. Hyeri came to visit. She brought him food from the cafeteria and news from outside. Everyone is talking about Kira, Hyeri said. She sat on the edge of his bed. The video is everywhere. Someone recorded the whole thing and put it on the Galactic network. Billions of people have watched it. What are they saying? Jiho asked. Different things. Some species are terrified. They think Earth has been hiding dangerous weapons. Others are curious. They want to know more about wolves. Some people are angry that the Federation lied about extinction. Hyeri showed him her datapad. It was filled with messages and videos. Aliens from all over the galaxy were talking about Kira. Some wanted her destroyed. Some wanted her protected. Everyone had an opinion. There's something else, Hyeri said. She looked worried. Students here on the station are starting to organize. They want a fair trial for Kira. They're holding protests. Who's leading them? Jiho asked. Me, Hyeri said with a small smile. And you won't believe who's helping. Minho. Jiho blinked. Minho, the guy who hates old Earth? He watched the video over and over, Yuri explained. He said something changed in his mind. He looked up information about wolves. He found old videos of them in nature. He started crying, Jiho. He said he never knew what we lost. That night, Instructor Velthar came to see Jiho. Her scales were a soft purple color. She looked tired. I need to tell you something, she said. She sat down in the only chair. I studied Earth before first contact. I was part of the team that evaluated your planet for Federation membership. Jiho waited. He had a feeling this was important. I wrote a report, Velthar continued. I said that Earth's predators were not dangerous. I said they were part of a beautiful, balanced system. I recommended that humans be allowed to keep them. What happened to your report? Jiho asked. It was rejected. Other scientists said I was too soft. Too emotional. They said predators always become problems, always. So the Federation made the law, and I said nothing. I was a coward. Velthar's scales turned a dark blue. Jiho learned that this meant shame. I've been looking for my old research files, she said. I found something interesting. The Predator Elimination Act was pushed through very quickly. Too quickly. Someone wanted it passed fast before anyone could ask too many questions. Who? Jiho asked. The Keltharian Empire. My own people. Velthar looked at her 6 hands. I think they were afraid of predators because Keltharians have no natural predators on our world. We evolved without fear. When we met species with predators, it terrified us. So we made sure new member worlds could never use predators as weapons. It was about control, Jiho said slowly. Not safety? Yes, Velthar agreed. And I'm going to help you prove it. 3 days later, they held a hearing. It was in a big room with high ceilings. Judges from 5 different species sat at a long table. Jiho stood in front of them with his family's lawyer. The room was full of people, reporters, students, scientists, security guards. Even some of Jiho's classmates came to watch. On a big screen, they showed Kira in her containment cell. She was pacing back and forth. Jiho could tell she was unhappy. She needed to run. She needed space, a prosecutor spoke first. She was a tall alien with thin arms and large eyes. She said that Jiho had broken the law. She said his family had broken the law for decades. She said Kira was a dangerous animal that should be destroyed immediately. Then it was Jiho's turn to speak. He stood up. His legs felt weak, but he walked to the center of the room. My name is Han Jiho, he said. I'm 17 years old. I raised Kira from when she was 8 weeks old. I taught her to sit, to stay, to come when called. I taught her to be gentle with people. She has never hurt anyone. She never will. He showed them videos. Kira playing with human children on Earth. Kira following commands. Kira sleeping peacefully next to Jiho while he did homework. For thousands of years, humans and wolves lived together, Jiho said. Wolves helped us hunt. They warned us of danger. They became our friends. Some wolves chose to stay with humans and became dogs, but other wolves stayed wild and free. We had room for both. We understood that predators are not evil. They're just different. One of the judges, a small creature covered in fur, spoke up. But predators kill other animals. They cause suffering. Predators keep balance, Jiho answered. On Earth, when we killed all the wolves in some places, the deer population exploded. They ate all the plants. The land died. Then the deer starved. Wolves were not the problem. They were part of the solution. He talked for an hour. He showed more videos. He presented scientific data. He told stories about his family's work to save Earth's animals. Then Velthar stood up. She had brought her research. She showed documents that proved the Keltharian Empire had pushed the Predator Elimination Act for political reasons, not scientific ones. I was wrong to stay silent, Velthar said. Her scales glowed bright orange, which meant strong emotion. The Federation was wrong to rush this law. We destroyed something we did not understand because we were afraid. That is not science. That is not wisdom. That is just fear. The hearing lasted all day. When it ended, the judges said they needed time to think. They would announce their decision in 3 days. Jiho went back to his room. He was exhausted, but he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. 3 days felt like 3 years. Jiho tried to read. He tried to sleep. Nothing worked. He kept thinking about Kira alone in that cell. Finally, the day came. Everyone gathered in the hearing room again. The lead judge stood up. She was an ancient being that looked like a floating cloud of light. Her voice sounded like wind through trees. "We have reviewed all evidence," she said. "This case is not simple. It involves law, science, and philosophy. After much discussion, we have made our decision." Jiho held his breath. "The wolf called Kira will be allowed to live," the judge said. "However, she will remain in controlled containment while we investigate the Predator Elimination Act. We are forming a special committee to study whether this law should be changed." Relief flooded through Jiho. Kira would live. That was what mattered most, but the judge was not finished. "Han Jiho, you broke the law. Even if the law was unjust, you broke it. You are expelled from Zenith Academy. You will return to Earth and face charges there. However, because of your age and your intentions, we recommend mercy." Jiho nodded. He expected this. It was worth it. As guards came to escort him out, something unexpected happened. The students in the room stood up. One by one, they raised their hands, arms, tentacles, and wings. It was a sign of respect used across the galaxy. Yeri was crying and smiling at the same time. Even Minho stood with his fist raised high. Jiho walked down the center of the room between the lines of students. They did not speak. They did not need to. Their silence said everything. Before he left, Jiho turned back to look at the screen showing Kira. She was sleeping now, curled up in a ball. "I'll come back for you," Jiho whispered. "I promise." He did not know if she could hear him, but he meant it with every part of his heart. 3 months passed. Jiho was back on Earth, living in his family's house in the mountains. He wore an electronic bracelet on his ankle that told the authorities where he was at all times. He was not allowed to leave the property. Every day he watched the news. The special committee was studying Kira. Scientists from all over the galaxy wanted to examine her. Some were kind. Others treated her like a thing instead of a living creature. Yeri called him every day through video messages. She told him what was happening on Nova Prime. The student protests had grown bigger. Now adults were joining too. People from dozens of species were asking questions about the Predator Elimination Act. "Some species are saying they were forced to kill their predators too," Yeri said during one call. Her face on the screen looked tired but determined. "They're angry. They want to know why the Federation made them destroy part of their own worlds." Jiho's father walked into the room. He was a tall man with gray in his beard. He ran the secret sanctuary where Kira had been born. "Jiho," his father said quietly, "we need to talk." Jiho ended the call with Yeri. He followed his father outside to the forest behind their house. They walked down a hidden path that only the family knew about. Deep in the forest was a hidden valley. Inside that valley were animals that the Federation thought were extinct. Tigers sleeping in the shade, bears catching fish in a stream. "Eagles flying overhead, we're not alone," Jiho's father said. "I've been contacted by other families, other groups. All over Earth, people have been hiding animals like we have. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands." Jiho stared at the animals. "All this time? For 70 years?
Yes, we couldn't let them die."
"We couldn't let Earth lose its soul." His father put a hand on Jiho's shoulder. "What you did was brave. You showed Kira to the galaxy. Now all these other people want to come forward too. They want to show their animals. They want to tell the truth. What's stopping them?" Jiho asked. "Fear. The same thing that's always stopped people. They're afraid the Federation will destroy Earth. They're afraid we'll lose everything." "Maybe we will," Jiho said. "But maybe some things are worth losing everything for." His father smiled. It was a sad smile, but also proud. "You sound like your grandmother. She started this sanctuary. She always said the same thing." On Nova Prime, a scientist named Dr. Taehyung was studying Kira. He was human, about 40 years old, with kind eyes and a serious face. At first, he had agreed with the Federation. He thought predators were dangerous. He thought the old law was correct. But after 3 months of watching Kira, his mind began to change. Kira was smart. She learned new commands quickly. She recognized individual scientists and remembered which ones were kind to her. She showed emotions like happiness, sadness, and boredom. She was not a mindless killer. She was a complex, intelligent being. One day, something happened that changed everything. A young scientist from a species called Vexorians was working in Kira's observation area. His name was difficult to pronounce, so everyone called him Vex. He was small and purple with big eyes and 6 fingers on each hand. Vex was allergic to something in Earth's atmosphere that they used to keep Kira comfortable. The air mixture was slightly wrong for Vexorians. Vex started having trouble breathing. His face turned dark purple. He fell down. Kira saw this happen through the observation window. She started howling, loud, urgent howls that echoed through the whole facility. At first, the other scientists ignored her. They thought she was just being noisy. But Kira did not stop. She howled and howled, running to the window and back to her bed over and over. Finally, Dr. Taehyung went to check what was wrong. That's when he saw Vex on the floor, not breathing properly. Medical help came immediately. They saved Vex's life, and everyone realized something incredible. Kira had seen a person in danger and had tried to help. She had not attacked. She had not ignored it. She had tried to save him. The whole event was recorded on cameras. Within hours, the video was everywhere. Billions of people watched it. A predator saving an alien's life. It was impossible to argue she was just a monster now. Dr. Taehyung called Jiho that night. It was the first time they had spoken. "I owe you an apology," the doctor said. His face on the video screen looked humble. "I thought you were a foolish boy who did not understand science. But I was the foolish one. I judged Kira without really knowing her." "She's remarkable. Can I see her?" Jiho asked. His voice cracked a little. He missed Kira so much it hurt. "I think I can arrange that," Dr. Taehyung said. "You'll need special permission. But after what Kira did today, I think people will listen to me." 2 weeks later, Jiho got permission to visit Nova Prime. It took a lot of work. Ambassador Lee had to argue for it. Dr. Taehyung had to sign documents. Security Chief Raxtel had to approve it, but finally Jiho stood outside Kira's habitat with guards all around him. "You have 15 minutes, Raxtel said. "That's all we can allow." The door opened. Jiho walked in. Kira was lying on the far side of the room. She looked thinner than before, sadder. Her eyes were dull. Then she saw Jiho. She jumped up like lightning. Her whole body came alive. She ran to him and jumped up, putting her front paws on his chest. She licked his face and made small whining sounds of joy. Jiho hugged her. He buried his face in her fur and cried. He had not cried since this whole thing started. But now, feeling Kira's warm body and hearing her happy sounds, he could not stop the tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered to her. "I'm so sorry I brought you here. I'm sorry you're stuck in this place." Kira just wagged her tail and stayed close to him. Outside the habitat, Dr. Taehyung was watching with other scientists. One of them, an elderly alien with tentacles for arms, spoke quietly. "Look at that bond," the alien said. "I've never seen anything like it. The boy and the predator love each other. How did we miss this? How did we think these creatures were only monsters?" "Because we were afraid," Dr. Taehyung answered. "Fear makes us blind." The 15 minutes passed too quickly. When it was time to leave, Kira did not want to let Jiho go. She whined and paced as he walked toward the door. "I'll come back," Jiho promised. "I'll get you out of here. I swear." Back on Earth, things were changing fast. Velthar had found more documents. She discovered that the Predator Elimination Act had been rushed through Federation meetings in just 3 weeks. Normal laws took months or years. This one was fast because powerful people wanted it fast. The Keltharian Empire had pushed the law. They had threatened other species. They had promised rewards to species that voted for it. The whole thing was corrupt. Velthar published her findings. The galactic news networks picked it up immediately. Within days, the Keltharian Empire was facing massive criticism. Their leaders denied everything. They said Velthar was lying. They called her a traitor. Velthar's own government issued an arrest warrant for her. She could never go home now. She had given up her whole life to tell the truth. Yeri told Jiho all this through video calls. "Things are getting tense," she said. "The Keltharian Empire is demanding that Kira be killed immediately. They're threatening to leave the Federation if Earth keeps hiding predators." "Let them leave," Jiho said. He was tired of being afraid. "It's not that simple," Yeri said. "The Keltharians have allies. Lots of them. If they leave, dozens of other species might follow. The Federation could break apart. Over one wolf? Over the principle. Over who has power and who doesn't." Then Minho called Jiho. It was late at night. Minho's face on the screen looked worried and excited at the same time. "I found something," Minho said. "I've been digging through financial records. Public ones, so it's all legal. And I found money trails." "What kind of money trails?" Jiho asked. "Payments from Keltharian military companies to members of the Federation Council. The same council members who voted for the Predator Elimination Act. They were bribed. Jiho sat up straight.
Can you prove it?
I have the documents. I'm sending them to every news organization in the galaxy right now. The next day, the galaxy exploded with the news. Proof of corruption. Proof that the law was bought and paid for. Proof that the Federation had lied to trillions of people. The Caltharian Empire called for an emergency meeting. They wanted Kira destroyed before things got worse. They wanted the evidence buried. They wanted everything to go back to normal, but normal was gone. Normal was dead. The truth was out, and it could not be hidden anymore. Jiho got a call from Raxtel. The security chief's voice was urgent. Caltharian Special Forces are coming to the station, Raxtel said. They have orders to take Kira by force and kill her. They'll be here in 6 hours. I'm going to try to stop them, but I might not be able to. I'm coming, Jiho said immediately. You can't. You're under house arrest. The moment you leave, you'll be breaking the law again. I don't care, Jiho said. Kira needs me. I'm coming. He looked at his father, who was standing in the doorway. His father had heard everything. He nodded slowly. Take the fast shuttle, his father said. And take this. He handed Jiho a small data chip. Coordinates to all the sanctuaries on Earth. All the hidden animals. If things go wrong, the Federation needs to know what they're really destroying. Jiho took the chip. He grabbed his jacket. And he ran. The shuttle was small and fast. Jiho pushed the engines as hard as they would go. His hands gripped the controls so tight his knuckles turned white. Behind him, Earth was getting smaller. Ahead of him, Nova Prime was still too far away. His communication screen beeped. It was Hyeri. Gio, what are you doing? She asked. Her eyes were wide. Every authority in the Federation is looking for you. They know you broke house arrest. I'm coming to get Kira, he said simply. You can't fight Caltharian Special Forces. They're trained soldiers. I don't plan to fight them. I just need to be there. Hyeri was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I'm with you. Whatever happens. Minho is too. We're gathering everyone we can at the research facility. On Nova Prime, things were already getting bad. Caltharian soldiers had arrived on the station. They wore black armor and carried heavy weapons. Their leader, a commander named Thrak, marched straight to the research facility where Kira was kept. Raxtel stood in front of the facility door with his security team. His massive body blocked the entrance. You don't have authority here, Raxtel said to Commander Thrak. This is a Federation research station, not Caltharian territory. We have orders from the Caltharian Empire, Thrak replied. His voice was cold. That predator is a threat to galactic security. We're taking it into custody. If you resist, you'll be arrested for obstruction. Then arrest me, Raxtel said. He did not move. Inside the facility, Dr. Taehyung was with Kira. He had locked all the doors from the inside. Other scientists were with him. They had all volunteered to stay. This is crazy, one scientist said. She was shaking. They'll break down the doors. They'll arrest us all. Then they arrest us, Dr. Taehyung said. But I won't stand by and watch them kill Kira. Not after everything we've learned. Not after seeing her save Vex's life. Kira was pacing in her habitat. She could sense the tension. She could hear raised voices outside. Her ears were flat against her head. Outside, students were gathering. Hundreds of them. They formed a line between the Caltharian soldiers and the research facility. Hyeri was at the front. Minho was beside her. You'll have to go through us, Hyeri said. Her voice was loud and clear. Commander Thrak looked at the students with disgust. Children, move aside or we'll move you. We're not children, Minho said. We're citizens of the Federation, and we're telling you that what you're doing is wrong. More Caltharian soldiers arrived. Now there were 50 of them. They surrounded the research facility. The situation was getting dangerous. Then Velthar appeared. She pushed through the crowd of students and stood in front of Commander Thrak. Her scales were bright red. Commander, she said, I am Velthar of the Caltharian Science Division. I'm broadcasting this conversation to the entire galaxy right now. Every word you say is being heard by billions. Are you really willing to attack unarmed students on live video? Thrak looked around. He saw the camera drones hovering everywhere. He saw reporters from a dozen different news services. Everything was being recorded. He hesitated. At that moment, Jiho's shuttle arrived at the station. He docked badly, too fast, scraping the hull. He did not care. He ran through the corridors toward the research facility. When he arrived, he saw the crowd. The soldiers! The standoff! He pushed his way through until he stood in the front next to Hyeri. I'm Han Jiho, he said to Commander Thrak. Kira is my responsibility. If you want to take her, you'll have to take me too. That can be arranged, Thrak said. He raised his hand to signal his soldiers to move forward. But then his soldiers did something unexpected. They did not move forward. Instead, one by one, they lowered their weapons. What are you doing? Thrak shouted at them. I gave you an order. One soldier stepped forward. She removed her helmet. Her scales were dark green. Sir, we've been watching the broadcasts. We've seen the evidence of corruption. We've seen the video of that wolf saving the Vexorian. This isn't right. You're disobeying direct orders, Thrak said. His voice was shaking with anger. Yes, sir, the soldier said. We are, because some orders deserve to be disobeyed. The other soldiers nodded. They put their weapons down. They stepped back. Thrak stood alone. His authority had crumbled. He looked at the cameras. He looked at the soldiers. He looked at the students. Then he turned and walked away. He had lost. The crowd erupted in cheers. Students hugged each other. Raxtel's security team relaxed. Even some of the Keltharian soldiers smiled. Dr. Taehyung unlocked the facility doors. He walked out and went straight to Jiho. She's been waiting for you, he said quietly. Go see her. Jiho walked inside. The facility was quiet now. He went to Kira's habitat and opened the door. Kira ran to him immediately. She jumped and licked his face and made happy sounds. Jiho held her tight. He was crying again, but this time they were happy tears. It's okay now, he whispered. You're safe. I promise you're safe. While this was happening, the Federation Council was holding an emergency meeting. Representatives from hundreds of species were arguing. The chamber was chaos. Ambassador Lee stood up to speak. He had prepared for this moment. 70 years ago, Earth joined this federation, he said. His voice carried across the chamber. We were told we needed to give up our predators to become civilized. We were told these animals were dangerous. We were told it was for the good of everyone. He paused and looked around at all the alien faces. We listened. We obeyed. We killed most of our predators. But we should have asked more questions. We should have demanded proof. We should have understood that civilization doesn't mean destroying nature. It means learning to live with it. He activated a hologram. It showed images from Earth's hidden sanctuaries. Tigers, bears, sharks, eagles, all the animals that were supposed to be extinct. These animals still exist, Ambassador Lee said. Humans have been protecting them in secret. We broke your law because your law was wrong, and now we're asking the Federation to admit it was wrong too. The chamber erupted in noise. Some species shouted in anger. Others called for calm. A few representatives stood up and started clapping. The ancient judge, who looked like a floating cloud of light, raised her hand. Everyone went quiet. This council has a decision to make, she said. Her voice was soft but powerful. The evidence of corruption is clear. The Predator Elimination Act was passed through bribery and fear. The question now is what we do about it. She looked at each representative in turn. We can continue to enforce this law and prove that we value power over truth, or we can admit we made a mistake and work to fix it. The choice is ours. A vote was called. It took hours. Some species voted to keep the law. They were still afraid of predators. They did not want to change, but more species voted for change. They voted to suspend the Predator Elimination Act. They voted to create new laws that would protect predators instead of destroying them. The Keltharian Empire was furious. They announced they were leaving the Federation. Some of their allies followed them, but most species stayed. The Federation survived. Back on Nova Prime, Jiho watched the vote results on a screen. He was sitting on the floor of Kira's habitat with her head in his lap. Hyeri and Minho sat next to him. Dr. Taehyung stood nearby. When the results came through, Hyeri started crying. Minho punched the air in victory. Dr. Taehyung smiled. We won, Jiho said. He could hardly believe it. We actually won? No, Dr. Taehyung said. He looked at Kira. She won. She showed everyone what we refused to see. That predators aren't monsters. They're just different, and different is not the same as dangerous. Velthar came into the habitat. Her scales were a happy yellow color. The council wants to meet Kira officially, she said. They want to apologize to her. Can you imagine? The entire Federation Council apologizing to a wolf. Jiho smiled. She probably won't understand what they're saying, but I think she'll accept the apology anyway. That's the kind of animal she is. Later that night, after everyone had left, Jiho stayed with Kira. He thought about everything that had happened. Just a few months ago, he was a quiet student who wanted to be invisible. Now he was at the center of the biggest political change in Federation history. It was strange. It was scary, but it was also right. Kira fell asleep next to him. Her breathing was slow and peaceful. Jiho watched her and thought about the future. There was still so much work to do. Other species needed help recovering their lost predators. New laws needed to be written. Old fears needed to be overcome. But tonight, just for tonight, Jiho let himself rest. He had fought hard. He had told the truth. And somehow, against all odds, the truth had won. Outside the window, stars filled the darkness. Somewhere out there was Earth, with its hidden sanctuaries full of animals that refused to go extinct. Somewhere out there were thousands of worlds that might start to understand that nature was not something to fear and destroy. It was a beginning, just a beginning, but beginnings were important. Jiho closed his eyes and let himself hope for the first time in months. Hope that Kira would be free. Hope that wolves would run wild again. Hope that the galaxy was finally ready to learn what humans had always known. That some things are worth fighting for, some things are worth protecting, and some things, like wolves, deserve to exist simply because they're beautiful and they're real. And they're part of what makes a world feel like home. 6 months passed like a dream. Jiho could hardly believe how much had changed. He was standing in front of Zenith Academy again. But this time he was not a student. He was a teacher. Well, not exactly a teacher. The Academy called him a special consultant for Earth life sciences. It sounded fancy. Really, it meant he helped aliens understand Earth's animals. Kira walked beside him. No chains, no cage. Just walking free like any person. Students from different species stopped to stare at her. Some were still nervous, but many smiled and waved. A small alien child, barely reaching Jiho's knee, ran up to them. She had purple skin and big eyes. Her parents shouted something worried behind her. "Can I pet the wolf?" the child asked. She looked up at Jiho with hope. Jiho knelt down next to her. "If you're gentle, and if your parent says it's okay." The parent came closer. She looked afraid but curious. "Is it safe?" "Kira is very gentle with children," Jiho said. He gave a command in a quiet voice. Kira sat down and lowered her head. The small child reached out and touched Kira's fur. Her eyes went wide with wonder. "She's so soft and warm." Kira's tail wagged. The parent smiled. It was a small moment. But small moments like this happened every day now. Slowly, the galaxy was learning that predators could be friends. Jiho's new classroom was different from normal ones. It had a special habitat built into it where Kira could rest and play. Students could watch her through windows. They could see how wolves behaved, how they communicated, how they lived. Today's class had 20 students. They came from 12 different species. Some had never seen a predator before. Others came from worlds that used to have predators but lost them. Hieri was helping him teach. She had graduated with honors and was now studying to be a xenobiologist. She understood animals better than most people. She was good at explaining things in ways that made sense. "Today we're going to talk about pack behavior," Hieri said to the class. "Wolves are social animals. They live in families. They work together. They take care of each other. A student with tentacles raised one of them. But they also hunt together. They kill other animals." "Yes," Jiho said. "They do. Just like most species eat something. Wolves eat meat. But eating meat doesn't make them evil. It makes them wolves." He showed them videos of wolves in the wild. Not hunting, just playing. Raising pups. Howling at the sky. Being a family. For thousands of years, humans feared wolves. Jiho continued. "We told stories about them. We called them monsters. But then some humans decided to look closer. They watched wolves. They learned about them. And they realized wolves were not monsters at all. They were just animals trying to survive, like everyone else." After class, Minho came to visit. He had changed a lot in 6 months. He looked more relaxed, more like himself instead of someone trying to be someone else. "I got the job," Minho said with a big smile. "I'm going to be working on Earth, helping run the sanctuaries." Jiho hugged him. "That's perfect. You'll be great at it." "I never thought I'd go back to Earth," Minho said. "I thought Earth was boring. I thought being human meant leaving Earth behind. But I was wrong. Earth is where we come from. It's part of who we are." The sanctuaries on Earth were not secret anymore. They were official now. The Federation had given them special protection status. Tourists from across the galaxy came to see Earth's predators. It was strange seeing aliens taking pictures of tigers and bears, but it was also wonderful. Other species were starting their own programs. 17 worlds had begun bringing back their predators. It was slow work. Some predators had been extinct so long that they could only be recreated from genetic samples. But it was happening. Dr. Tae-hyung was leading most of this work. He had become the director of something called the Galactic Biodiversity Initiative. He traveled to different worlds, helping them understand how to bring back balance to their ecosystems. He visited Nova Prime often to check on Kira and give lectures. Jiho always attended these lectures. He learned something new every time. Belthar had found a new home on Earth. She lived near the ocean and studied Earth's sea predators. Great white sharks fascinated her. She said they were like living fossils, perfect hunters who had barely changed in millions of years. She could never return to the Keltharian Empire. Her own people considered her a traitor, but she did not seem sad about it. She said Earth felt more like home than her birth world ever did. Sometimes you have to leave where you came from to find where you belong, she told Jiho during one of her visits to the station. One evening, Jiho got a message from Ambassador Lee. The ambassador wanted to see him. It sounded important. Jiho went to the ambassador's office. It was a big room with windows showing Earth below. Ambassador Lee looked much happier than the last time Jiho had seen him. "Sit down, Jiho," the ambassador said. "I have news. The Federation Council wants to offer you a position." "What kind of position?" Jiho asked. "Junior representative to the Interspecies Conservation Council. You'd be the youngest person ever appointed. You'd help make decisions about protecting endangered species across the galaxy." Jiho was quiet for a moment. 6 months ago, he was just a student trying to pass his classes. Now they wanted him to help lead conservation efforts for the entire Federation. "Can I bring Kira to the meetings?" he asked. Ambassador Lee laughed. "I think people would be disappointed if you didn't." That night, there was a special ceremony at Zenith Academy. They were officially opening a new program called Earth Life Sciences. Students could now study Earth's animals and ecosystems as a major course of study. The ceremony was held in a large hall. Hundreds of people attended. Reporters from across the galaxy were there. It was being broadcast live to billions of viewers. Jiho had to give a speech. He was nervous. He had never liked talking in front of people, but he had something important to say. He walked to the podium with Kira beside him. The crowd went quiet. "My name is Han Jiho," he said. His voice was stronger than he expected. 6 months ago, I stood in a classroom and showed everyone a wolf. I thought I was just telling the truth about one animal, but I learned that truth is bigger than that. He looked at Kira. She was sitting calmly, watching the crowd with alert eyes. "Humans have a word called domestication," Jiho continued. "It means when a wild animal chooses to live with humans. About 15,000 years ago, wolves started doing this. They came to human camps. They helped us hunt. We gave them food. Over time, some wolves became dogs, but other wolves stayed wild, and that was okay. We had room for both." He paused and looked around at all the different species in the audience. "That's what I think the galaxy needs to learn. We need to have room for different kinds of life. We need to understand that civilization doesn't mean making everything the same. It means learning to live together, even when we're different." The audience started clapping. It grew louder and louder. Jiho felt his face get hot. He was not used to this kind of attention. After the ceremony, students gathered around Kira. A young Keltharian approached carefully. Her scales were showing nervous purple patterns. "Can I touch her?" the young Keltharian asked. Her voice was small. Jiho nodded. Kira sensed the child's nervousness and sat down, making herself smaller and less scary. The young Keltharian reached out slowly. Her small hand touched Kira's fur. She gasped with wonder. Cameras caught the moment. A Keltharian child, from the species that had pushed for the Predator Elimination Act, gently petting a wolf. The image went viral across the galaxy. It showed better than any words that change was possible. Later that night, Jiho stood on an observation deck with Hiyeri. They looked down at Earth. The planet was beautiful from space, blue and green and white. Home. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't brought Kira to class that day? Hiyeri asked. Sometimes, Jiho admitted. But then I remember something my father told me. He said that some truths have to be told even when they're scary, even when you don't know what will happen. Kira was lying nearby, comfortable and content. She had adapted well to life on the station. She liked the students. She liked the attention. But Jiho knew she also missed running through forests. I'm taking her back to Earth next month, Jiho said. For a visit. She needs to run. She needs to feel grass under her feet and wind in her fur. And you? Hiyeri asked. What do you need? Jiho thought about this. 6 months ago, he had just wanted to be left alone. He wanted to be invisible. But now he understood something important. Sometimes being invisible meant letting wrong things continue. Sometimes you had to be seen. You had to speak up. I need to keep telling the truth, he said finally. About wolves. About nature. About all the things we almost lost and all the things we can still save. Hiyeri smiled and took his hand. They stood together looking at Earth, while Kira slept peacefully nearby. 5 years later, things had changed even more. Wolf populations were growing on Earth again, not just in sanctuaries but in the wild. The Federation had given its full approval. Other predators were returning too. Earth was becoming balanced again. Jiho was now a full representative on the Conservation Council. He traveled to different worlds, helping them restore their ecosystems. He always brought Kira with him. She was old now, with gray in her muzzle, but still healthy and strong. Kira had also had pups, 3 of them. They were the first wolves born in space, born free and legal.